Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Bazil. Welcome to the show. This is Wildstar Wednesday, episode 2. If I sound a little tired, it is because I'm recording this at about 11 p.m. I almost said a.m. It's been a rough, long day. The name reservations have finally dropped, and if you've pre-ordered, you have a chance to reserve your name and guild. But by now, a lot of the good stuff is already taken. I've seen people getting the Batman and Justice League for names and guild names, which is pretty hilarious. We were able to nail down challenge accepted at a couple variations, most of our names, and I was able to nail down the guild raid frosting, which I think is just a funny little quirky name. But I want to talk about the name reservations for a majority of the content of this episode. We're gonna go a little bit over impressions on open beta and the interaction that Carbine has had with the live streams and stuff. But let's start off with open beta here, or not open beta, excuse me. Let's start off with the name reservations. So, oh boy, it did not go well. Reservations opened up at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it we basically broke and melted servers. Basically, it was just not a pretty picture. They had to push it back to 11 or not 11. Excuse me, I'm a little tired, obviously. They had to push it back to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it started to work a little bit, but it was just completely broken. And they fixed a lot of the problem on their end, but the problem is NCSoft is what hosts their accounts. You go through their actual account that way. Like Carbine doesn't have a website or servers to host accounts on there. If they did, I don't think we would have had this problem. But NCSoft just was not prepared for this, mainly because they're not used to having a popular MMO be as ridiculously big as something like Wildstar. I mean, yes, they have Guild Wars 2, but, let's be honest, the game didn't really ramp up on day one. Didn't really pull this much traffic to cause, like, this amount of just craziness. And because I remember day one, it was fine. I could log in. Everything it was a very smooth launch. But, I mean, NCSoft was just not prepared. So the servers just kept going down and down and down, and people were starting to get really, really upset. And you could tell that Carbine and the developers were like really upset about this. I mean, they hit it well on their Twitter and stuff, but you could just tell that they were really disappointed that they let the community down. And which is actually a good thing, because I think it shows some well needed integrity in the MMO gaming community. A lot of companies don't really care, and I think that just the simple fact that Carbine was really adamant to just being very, very forthcoming with their community and saying, "Hey, man, guys, we really screwed up here. We're really sorry. We're working to fix this problem as fast as we can." The typical answer. But I mean, we had Jeremy Gaffney come on Reddit and answer some questions about that, and it was just really interesting to see like one of the top brass go onto Reddit, which is normally very, very well known as just kind of a troll a troll site where people just kind of go on and complain about a bunch of things. But the Wildstar community doesn't really do that. Like, you see a lot of positivity in how this was handled by the community. Sure, you're going to have a lot of people raging and you're going to have your trolls, but for the most part, it was very, very respectful of Carbine, and I think that's because Carbine's in turn respected their community at first, and not expected respect from their community without showing it. So I think that really says a lot to what we have here as a community as Wildstar grows. Because, man, apparently there was like 16,000 people at one point, like, trying to click on the name reservation page, and that was just like a small portion of the numbers they were giving out, and that was just nuts. I mean, 16,000 people trying to reserve one name and one guild name all at the same time. I mean, yeah, I don't think anyone's server could handle that. I mean, heck, when Total Biscuit names a website on his podcast, they completely crash the site and it just all goes bonkers. So I think that we're going to really see some interesting... I don't want to say rage threads about this, but we're definitely going to see some interesting threads about how this was handled, why Carbine and Wildstar is going to fail. But, on the flip side of that, we're going to see people in those threads go, you know what, you're very, very wrong, and here's why. Or, Carbine themselves are going to come at those threads and say, you know what, you're right, we did screw up. We're really sorry about that, but we look to be a lot better in the future. And I think that this is a really good learning experience for them, because this shows them that their game is going to be popular, that their game is going to be something special. And let's be honest here, guys, we haven't seen this type of hype or aggression in some sort of popularity in an MMO game since World of Warcraft. Sure, there's been small amounts of hype for, ESO, Guild Wars 2, even Ion or Aeon, however you want to say that, had a small amount of hype in the background. That was quite a fun game. Played that for a couple months. Then, we all go back to WoW eventually. But I think that we really have to give Carbine some props for really kind of molding a community into something really, really special. Because the way that the community itself handled the downtime I was really impressed. There wasn't a lot of rage. It was more of, hey, encouraging Carbine to keep their head up. Don't worry about it. We a lot of us understand. There was the trolls, there was the asshats of the community, but you just ignore those people and don't really respond to them. And we've done a good job at really kind of keeping those trolls at bay. And even when we do respond, it's usually with a very, very well thought out and logical answer. And trolls can't say anything back to that unless they want to and just look even more silly, and that's fine. So I think that, yeah, it really sucked. A lot of people are pretty upset. I personally was very, very upset at the beginning, because I was really, really trying to make sure that the community that we've started over at Challenge Accepted had that guild to go to and had that name and that branding. And thankfully, Tyremus, Rusty, and Fuzz were really, really helpful in that situation. We were able to get, like I said, some good variations and some good stuff, but Rusty wasn't able to get his name officially, and Fuzz had some trouble as well, which, with having trying to grab a name like Fuzz or Rusty is really difficult, or Chair, or Lamp, or Epic, or something like that. Like, a lot of people just got really lucky. Let's be honest here. Whoever got the name Epic, that's awesome. Or whoever got the name Spoon, or just like those random like inanimate object names, they're just always like really, really cool. Like I've always wanted to name a character Knife, but probably never gonna get to do that, but that's okay. Anyway, so without repeating myself, because I'm catching myself before I start rambling, is this gonna hurt the overall view of the game? And unfortunately, I think so. It might just as a little bit in some of the eyes of the people that were, still on the fence a little bit, because they just kind of saw what was going on Carbine's end, and they weren't really kind of taking it at face... Well, they were taking it at face value, I guess. They were just kind of not thinking. So I think that in that sense, it might hurt the game's reputation a little bit. But as far as Carbine's reputation, I think they actually kind of got some street cred, if you were, because they were still able to do their live stream, which was at the same time that the names were supposed to be released and the website was supposed to go live, and they were talking about it during the live stream and just explaining, hey, this is what's going on. Our web team is trying to fix this, but it was an interesting experience, to say the least. It was very frustrating. There was a lot of rage from a lot of people, even the people that on Twitter that are usually pretty calm and collected. Of course, that was all done privately. Like, they weren't going to bash Carbine out in the open, because that would just kind of tarnish the not necessarily their reputation, because it's one thing to be professional, but sometimes you gotta speak your mind and just let the people that you respect know how you feel, and that's the way professional courtesy goes sometimes. But I was talking to a couple people, and they were pretty disappointed with how things went, and I kind of want to bring this back to NCSoft and just the awful company that NCSoft is. I mean, they're responsible, along with Sony Entertainment Online, for killing so many good franchises and so many good MMOs that just could have been really, really, really well done. City of Heroes is one of them. I mean, Jeremy Gaffney even said on Reddit in his AMA that, without saying it, he thought that NCSoft was pretty much responsible for the death of City of Heroes, which I think a lot of people are going to agree with, and I'm going to agree with that as well. So I think that NCSoft really needs to step up. And, NCSoft, you're probably never going to listen to this, nor do you care, but I'm talking directly to you guys. You guys need to get your head out of your ass and look at what kind of game that Wildstar actually has become and is going to become and is going to remain. They have created something extremely special, something that you guys have never, ever had before in any of your games. They have a development team that gives a shit. Now, of course, every development team gives a shit. But the difference with Carbine is they legitimately care and legitimately want to interact with their community. Now, I was not a big City of Heroes player. I played it for a little bit and, of course, went back to World of Warcraft. But I think that the game had a lot of potential. Who doesn't want to be Wolverine? Who doesn't want to be a superhero? That was a lot of fun. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, that's cool. It's a good concept. But I don't know. I think that when you have a publisher that is publishing a game that's popular and has a good community backing, they really need to pay attention. And the main problem was the servers for the login account, at least from my point of view. Because every time you tried to do it, it gave you that stupid black screen. NCSoft servers are down for scheduled maintenance. Obviously, that wasn't scheduled maintenance. It was just their 404 screen or what error screen or whatever they chose to have that there. So, and it, like, I didn't get to reserve my name till about 7 o'clock Eastern time, which was, let's see, almost 7 hours after the name reservation should have been live and kicking, because they couldn't handle so many people logging onto their servers at once. And even normally their servers run like crap. I mean, there's been a couple times where it's just like, no, this account doesn't actually exist. And I'm like, I just logged into it 5 minutes ago. It's like, nope, sorry, contact support. I'm like, okay. And then, try 5 minutes later and it works. So you're just like, what the hell? So if NCSoft is going to really redeem themselves from Wildstar, they need to start with their login servers, because they're awful. And, I mean, there's really no other way to say it. They're just terrible. And I was legitimately pissed at them for making Carbine look bad, because Carbine so far, yeah, they've made a lot of mistakes, but they own up to it. We didn't hear a word from NCSoft. They're just like, whatever, we don't really care. I mean, nothing. I tweeted them. I tweeted their support. I emailed their support. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It got to the point where I called their tech support and tried to, like, get an answer, but they're not going to give me any answers. Whatever. So it was really frustrating to me as a big fan of Carbine and of what they've accomplished, to see them pretty much get pooped on by their publisher, which was just crap. And NCSoft guys, come on, you guys really need to do a better job. You just do. In order for this game to succeed, you need to be on board as much as Carbine is, and not just kind of ride the money train, if you were, like you've pretty much done for every single one of your other MMOs that have come out. I mean, mainly Guild Wars too. I mean, you guys haven't given a rat's ass about that game at all either. So it's just disappointing to see NCSoft following their track record of not really caring, which is just a shame because Carbine definitely deserves a better publisher than NCSoft. It's a shame that they couldn't go under someone like Turbine or something, because that is an excellent publishing company. I mean, what they've done with Lord of the Rings Online has just been phenomenal. I play it every once in a while still. I mean, free to play, but it's a great game. NCSoft, pull your head out of your ass. Come on, it's stupid. But anyway, that was kind of my take on name reservations and how it went today, or yesterday technically, since you're listening to this on Wednesday, or 3 years from now, or whenever you're listening to this video. Anyway, let's move on to the open beta and what I've seen so far and how it's kind of affected the game's reputation. And this is very positive. So we're going for something that kind of affected Wildstar in a little bit negative light to something that has affected Wildstar so far in a very, very positive light. In the Devs Unleashed stream, I believe it was, their 6-hour live stream, Jeremy Gaffney was talking about, he was asked a question, I believe it was on Twitter, or it was in the Twitch chat, I don't remember. But it was, hey, how has the newer players said that they've liked this game? Basically asking, hey, is this game good from open beta, blah, blah, blah. And shockingly, it has been. He even said that. He's like, that's not normal for a game to have such positivity in the first few levels and the first, for an open beta. Which it's not, because most people will rip anything that's not World of Warcraft to shreds. But this game mirrors World of Warcraft so much in the terms of its, I don't want to say its care, but it's more, it mirrors World of Warcraft in that it is a very, very well-designed game that has time put into it, which is what vanilla World of Warcraft basically was. It was a very, very polished game. Not when it first launched, no, and Wildstar won't be either. There's still a lot of bugs in the game. I just experienced one yesterday, in fact, which was really annoying. And I think that because it is such a polished game, before it's launched, it's going to do well. And a lot of people have said that. A lot of new players have said that. A couple buddies of mine that I've turned on to the game have been like, it's really good. It's a lot of fun. Don Tane was just actually streaming it yesterday, technically. And he said that he was very, very overall impressed, and first impressions were good. And we all know how hard that guy is to please. But, I mean, it's something that you really haven't seen in an open beta for an MMO in years. Guild Wars 2 had that hype. Guild Wars 2 had that, yeah, this is going to be good. But there were still a lot of problems that really still haven't been addressed, which is a shame. And it's not refreshing, because you really shouldn't have that kind of a lack of care and thought put into a game before it's launched. If that makes sense. I mean, why are we half-assing things today? Why are we half-assing MMOs? Why are we half-assing first-person shooters? Why are we half-assing anything, for that matter, in the gaming industry? And I think people are starting to really finally get sick of it, because, I mean, look at Call of Duty, look at Battlefield, look at all these other games that people are like, I'm not paying for that crap. But look at Titanfall. Look how much hype that game was, and no one cares about it anymore, because it's a casual game. Yeah, it's a good game, but it's a casual game. And people want a challenge again. People are starting to go, you know what, this is really boring. Handheld holding is really, really boring. I mean, let's be honest here. Would you rather come home from work, sit down on a computer, and just be handed things, and pretty much feel like you didn't really accomplish anything because it was too easy? Or would you rather log on to a game with your friends on TeamSpeak, Ventrilo, Mumble, whatever you use? Please don't use Mumble. Mumble's bad. I don't like Mumble at all. And then do you want to experience some content that, yeah, it's going to make you not necessarily rage, but get more upset in a reasonable way because it is challenging you to the point of frustration that you know you messed up and you know you can better yourself from it. So would you rather have content handed to you or a challenge that makes you feel like you accomplish something every single time you do it? And I think people are starting to really kind of go ahead and grasp that again. Which, another sign that tells me that is the new Unreal Tournament's coming out, and boy, am I excited for that. Whew, cannot wait. I think that the way that open beta has been shaped and formed has been excellent. There is a lot of performance problems because optimization is the last thing to happen in a game, but people do have a lot of valid concerns. I have a lot of valid concerns. I mean, I have a rig that should not be getting anything lower than 40 FPS, and there are certain zones where I get 10, and that should not happen. That was probably the biggest complaint of anybody, and still really is the biggest complaint and question that I see in the forums on Reddit, on Twitter, is, hey, is this game ever going to be optimized? I'm getting bad FPS, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of helpful tints. What's a tint? I don't know. There's a lot of helpful hints on Reddit and whatnot, and I'll post the... Wow, I need to not record these so late at night. I need to, darn name reservation stuff. It just took so long. My F5 key's probably dead by now, but I think that the way that open beta is just really, really good. And I'll post the links of the what was I saying? Oh, of the performance problems in the description below, because it is going to really improve your FPS. I did it a couple times just to be sure, and it definitely improved a lot of stuff. And I think that Carbine, it's funny to see Carbine's operations director go, huh, that's interesting. We never thought of that. We'll work on that. Or him go, well, that's unexpected. We'll get people on that right away. So it's really cool to see not just the people like Tony, Stephen Frost, Pappy, Jeremy Gaffney. It's cool to see the people that are the minions, if you were, of Carbine. And it's a horrible word to say, but it's basically like saying you're allowing the middleman to have as much screen time as the lead lady or whatever. And horrible analogy. It's just a terrible analogy. Whatever. But Carbine really respects all their employees, and they let them be very, very vocal and free on social media, which is something that has corrected a lot of game bugs, even just in these past few days since open beta started. Like, I've seen a drastic performance increase just in open beta because they've gotten so much data. And that's a huge deal. That's a big thing. That is a huge, huge deal. And props to Carbine for allowing their employees and the people that run their game, literally run their game, to be that open and forthcoming with the community on social media, on stuff. Of course, they have to get approved with all this stuff because they're a company. They have rules and regulations they have to follow. But a lot of the bugs and stuff have literally been through social media and have them gone, oh, that's new. We'll fix that. So I think it's just an excellent form of communication and has really sealed the deal on open beta. And I think that open beta has really shown the gaming world that, hey, this is a serious MMO. This is not going to be, Rift or I can't even think of any other MMOs that are really relevant anymore. I mean, Rift is really the only one that's really kind of stood the test of time. Of course, Lord of the Rings Online Dungeons and Dragons. I don't really count that as an MMO. It's more of like a massive D&D online game. It's not really a MMO, but technically it is. But I mean, like games like that, like Age of Conan's not really popular anymore. Warhammer Online's completely been disemboweled. City of Heroes is gone. City of Villains is gone. Champions Online didn't do well. I mean, like all these MMOs just have not stood the test of time, and their one biggest flaw: community interaction. And now, before I close, I do want to point out that Firefall had a very, very good community interaction. But there was a lot of money problems, and the CEO was kind of stupid and just didn't really do anything, and just kind of, yeah. It didn't end well for them, and I think that the way that Carbine treats their employees, I think, is probably the most success factor of Wildstar so far. And the reason that open beta is the way it is and is as successful as it is. The last thing I want to go over, and just real quickly, Jeremy Gaffney actually went on to the ESO subreddit and answered a question that someone posted about marketing and why it doesn't seem that Wildstar has outmarketed ESO, and I can completely agree with that because, like, when was the last time you saw something for ESO? I mean, I don't have cable, so I don't know if there's TV commercials, but that actually goes along the line with what Jeremy Gaffney said, that apparently, like, ESO has, like, this huge marketing budget, and there's, like, they were on, like, cable television commercials and stuff, but the game is just not as hyped or it's not as popular as Wildstar is, because Wildstar is literally everywhere. YouTube, Twitch, just freaking everywhere. You see so many different ads for it. It's ridiculous. And I think that because the community interaction is so good. See, we always get back to this whole community interaction thing when I talk and ramble about this stuff, is because it's literally that important, and I don't think a lot of companies just don't get it. They don't. I mean, if you look at the interaction between ESO and its community, it's literally almost non-existent, even with all the major bugs and stuff that have been happening since launch. They just were like, "Yeah, we'll fix it, deal with it." I mean, it wasn't good. And then you have the other end where Carbine's just like, sometimes they can even be too open and honest with their community because they'll say things they're not supposed to, Mike Donatelli. And I think that actually is a good thing because it shows the human side of developers and that Carbine can make mistakes. And in closing, that Jeremy Gaffney was very, very respectful to the guys over at ZeniMax who made ESO, and was just very, very professional. And that shows a lot on the amount of professionalism and courteism. It's probably not a word, of Carbine, just in the interaction of dev versus dev, instead of dev versus community. So even then, they have just a super load of professionalism. And of course, there were a couple of zingers in there, but they were just said in a way that was very playful and was very professional. It wasn't like, "Hey, your game sucks, we're better." It was just a very, very good way of saying it. It was, I don't know. It's just, before I start rambling, let's end the video. It has been another 30 minutes. But if you made it all the way to the end of the video, guys, I do appreciate it. Make sure to follow me on social medias. It'll be at Bazile. And check out our weekly web live stream show that we have that is going to be over on our website, which will be in the link in the description below, challengeaccepted.com. Follow us on Twitter there as well, at Challenge Failed. And if you did like any of my other videos, links will be after this rambling session is over with. So I'm very tired. I do appreciate you guys sticking with me. That is it. That's all. God bless, guys. Have a great day. If you liked what I'm doing here, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Leave me positive or negative feedback. I always do that. Feedback in the comments below. I do appreciate that, guys. And take care. See you in Nexus.